an episode with one of like the main, one of the main secondary protagonists, where
Hmm.
basically they're about to drop a movie, and the movie's about one of the main secondary protagonists, like his daughter. And in the midst of his daughter, like his daughter has this incredible, like world-scaping voice, like it's bananas. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, shoot, if you could sit here and basically generate a voice like this, you know what I'm saying? Or at the same time, if you got somebody singing behind this, you know what I'm saying, like let's say a ghostwriter or let's say a session musician, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
building out this. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think to be honest with you, bro, I mean, how do I say this? So like, hmm. So I got to be careful with my words. The reason why I'm like kind of cautious is because I don't want to scare anybody because people already kind of shook about this whole thing, but also at the same time, like we kind of knew this was we kind of saw this coming down the pipeline. So
True. But they
yeah,
weren't
man.
shook about the production aspect. That's what makes it so crazy. They weren't shook when they started giving you tools to speed up production and generate these automated sounds by a click of a button and just putting in a style or a genre for you to build from. This is just the evolution of
I hear you, but also at the same time, like there's a reason why artists should be just a little shook, but also at the same time, there's a reason why they shouldn't be shook, but we'll get into it. So let's go get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's your man Hans Nobi, music producer and co-founder of the music production company called Room 380. I'm in here with my main man, Urban Waves, aka Theo Maggie, who is the official project manager and A&R of Room 380. So everyone give a round of applause, my man. Urban Waves getting it in.
it. Yes, sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
that's how you do it. My man came in and was just like, yo, fam, whatever y'all need for your projects, I got you. He came in, offered some solutions, lended his expertise. He's been a great, I mean, like a great help in regards to the projects that we've been working on. But I'll get into that here in a second. Theo, tell me, how was your week, bro? How you living?
Man, my week has been amazing. My week has been amazing. You know what I'm saying? As I've been telling our audience throughout the episodes, I'm in a master's program for mass communications. For those who do not know, I just finished my advertising class. Shout out to good grades. I got an A, killed my research proposal. So I'm incredibly happy about that. As far as a business standpoint, as we stated, things are going incredible with Room 380. We moving and chopping, getting things on the grind. Money and things is just moving incredibly smooth. It's a blessing. On the flip, from a personal standpoint, man, shout out to being married. Shout out to people doing their thing, and shout out to families. Just busting down the anniversary. Got to plug that in real quick. You know, everybody
Yeah.
was talking about they sick of toxic R&B, so I had to throw that love in real quick.
Yeah. One day we'll talk about that. One day. Yo, fam.
Yeah, man. But other than that, it's a blessing, man. Life is grand. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Grand opening, grand closing type.
That's good. That's good. So, all right. So, and also, Theo, appreciate the love, man. Real talk. Because also at the same time, I like how you just threw in there. The money is moving right, fam. You ain't got to tell everybody that you sitting nice. Like we get it, we get it. Yes, we do pay our people here at Room 380. I bust my ass to make sure everyone gets their due. That's just how I roll. So it is what it is. All right, let me move some stuff over. Um, my week has been pretty good. I kind of want to get into this whole thing about people moving to LA. I know you guys have like heard about that all the time in regards to like you already know where I'm taking this, right? So
Yeah,
we
I
know
saw I saw the
that
post.
okay. So I just want to say that I now get why people move to LA and then just chill. I get it now. I get why people move here and they look at 3 years later and like their business is in shambles, the money ain't moving right, but they didn't find some nice young lady or young man that they want to sit and chill with. Now they sit on, they got this nice high-rise apartment somewhere midtown or downtown Hollywood, you know, somewhere out in,
Could have got
Culver
caught
City,
slipping.
whatever, going to sky bars, smoking hookah all the time. I get it now. This is a fantastic city to just sit up and just chill. I have been doing that for the past month. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, tomorrow I get back to it, but the reason why, because as you guys know, my family and I, we moved from New York all the way here to LA. And so
Mhm.
if you guys know, that is a tough move. So I have been working on projects here and there, but just like let me take some time out to give a shout out to my team. You guys have been fantastic in regards to like helping me and Rivers move the needle. Rivers has his, Rivers has his own stuff um going on. Nothing bad. This is actually fantastic. He's moved to a different stage in his life. And between Waves, you, Chris Favaro, Shavon Thomas, and Nico, you guys have been killing it. Thank you so much for you guys is stepping in and really just getting it in, man. Like for real. I really can't, I couldn't ask for a better team in regards to like this. So again, thank you. Like for real, for real.
True story. Oh, also shout out to you for the journey. For those that don't know, my man was out in Houston before this all took off. Was moving out the South, then moved to New York. Now to move to the West Coast. My man that did the triangular joint. Don't really hit the big market. So respect on everything you doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know why it's not showing you. Hold on, give me a second here. Let me see. Let me see what's going on. Why we not? Well, how come we can't see Waves, man? If you can see me, there we go. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay, so every time we talk, it's going to switch. Okay, cool. Do want to make sure you good. All right.
That Zoom.
All right. Let me hold on. Let me get into it. Let me get into it. I'm loading up, just like Capitol Records and Warner was doing, because
Oh
I
man.
posted about this. So first of all, let me just say I was right. Let me just say that first and foremost, I was right. So today's episode is going to talk about these virtual artists. I'm going to get into it. Uh, just first of all, I do want to say I find it funny that all you artists are completely shook from Capitol Records announcing that they've
The
signed.
shook ones.
Oh my God, goodness gracious, y'all are shook. Jeevus, I didn't
They
got
turning into
conspiracy.
they turning into Eminem off of 8 Mile, man.
Man,
Mom
I didn't.
spaghetti.
Man, I didn't got conspiracy theories. I didn't got this was going on in the background. Some people say like this is nothing
Man.
to worry about. Oh my goodness gracious. We'll get into it today, but I want to give context as to why today's episode is called We Called It. So the reason why I want to say we called it is the very first time I ever did a live stream, like ever, was July 31st, 2021. And the first thing I talked about was how Warner was tinkering around with the idea of having a virtual artist, right? So they
Mm.
had this like anime fairy looking girl performing on stage and this, that, and the third. And I said, hey, I know what this is. The reason why I know what this is because for the past 15 years, I have worked with artists, either as an artist, as a touring artist, or as a producer. I know what it's like to work with artists. I know that working with artists is sort of tough. And I know that there's a difference between a virtual artist and a human artist. So let me explain,
Mhm.
and then we'll get into it. Theo, let me ask you this. You've gone through this. Have you ever managed an artist before? Let's get into it.
uh, uh, that's an incredibly emotional situation. As they
For
would
sure.
say, you're basically asking me to put my life on hold to manage your life. That's not for the faint of heart.
Right. Now, let's give a bit more context to that. So again, I want to give you guys as much game as possible. I want to explain the reason why things are the way they are, why some people are sort of shook, but also why Wave said what he said. So give a bit more context. Why do managers have to stop their life to make sure that the artist lives theirs?
I don't want to call it babysitting, but the circumstance comes down to the psychology of management. You go to a regular job and you get managed, but they're basically telling you what to do. In that same sense, as an artist, you're also coming in with that mindset that this person is supposed to tell you what to do. But in reverse, you're supposed to be the boss and we're managing the circumstances surrounding you. But because most artists don't come in with that mentality, it comes down to most people in a management role having to quite literally tell you every detail of what needs to be done for every circumstance, which
Right.
in that sense means when you need to be at the studio, what do you need to be wearing? What do you need
Right.
to be doing at this photo shoot? What do you need to be doing in this interview? And for most artists who don't have a budget to fill roles with people who specialize in these behaviors, rather than be an accountant, a business manager, a publicist, you know what I'm saying? That manager basically wears so many varying hats to fill in those roles to make you understand, or to help you technically
Yeah.
kind of guide that process of where you're supposed to be this quote unquote mega star that you say you want to be. But if you don't
Right.
have that grit to get up and go do it yourself, to where they can relieve the stress and actually go do their job, which is managing your career from the access of the back end, not
Right.
necessarily just the front end. Most people don't realize you have a personal manager that deals with your day-to-day details, and you
Right.
also have a business manager, touring manager, etc. So I
Business
mean, it's a
managers as
lot.
well. It's a lot. So we, the reason why we want to say that is because, again, for you guys just tuning in, whether you're watching, live or you're doing a playback, is I really want you guys to like understand, like you have to be careful in asking someone to be your manager. If you're not aware of it, it can kind of come off like offensive. It's almost like seeing someone like they're hustling at work, they're doing double time. Let's say that you're working at a grocery store, like they're getting the buggies, they're being cashier, they're doing restock and anything else, and then you say, "Hey, can you take on this massive task that's gonna
Mhm.
put you in triple overtime?" It's offensive because it's like, fam, you don't see to have all this other stuff. So that's why you have to be careful in who you ask to manage you. And there's plenty of content about that, but um that's the reason why. Now, that we've given some context to that, there's one thing I want to talk about. I want to give a story here in regards to managing artists. So I used to be part of a live band called Soul Tree Collective, right? So this was a band that was financed and managed by a guy named Homer Hill, who's running 11th Street Station in Austin, Texas, and another guy named Jonathan Clark, who was the former marketing vice president of Motown Records. Our manager was a guy named Colvin Cofield. Now, Kevin used to be a DJ for KAZI back when Steve Savage was a program director. Steve Savage kind of went off and did his own thing. But anyway, he was managing us. And one of the things that used to frustrate him was he had to deal with these 7 humans who we worked with each other about the same time. We kind of got on each other's nerves. There's one particular situation. I'm not gonna say names, of course, right? But there's one particular situation where you could tell it was frustrated. One of the singers, one of the lead vocalists started dating one of the background singers.
Oh, nah.
And not only that, he went online to be a Kappa. We ain't got to get into the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure you
Yep.
can imagine the complexities of
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So when she was mad at him, oh, we could tell. And that sort of affected a lot of performances a little bit, this, that, and the third, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
have a virtual artist, you ain't got to worry about that. Ain't nobody,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't got to worry about no relationships. You ain't got to worry about former street life. You ain't got to worry about, get into it with the parents, siblings, none of that. The virtual artist is
No
whatever,
consent.
no consent. He or she or they is whatever you want them to be. Bring your present moment right here. So I recently posted all over my social. I said, I called it. Capitol Records just signed a virtual artist, FN Mika. He has over 10 million followers on TikTok. We're gonna break this down for you guys, right? So this is him. This is the artist, right? So whenever you guys get a chance to read the article, definitely read into it. But before we get into it, thoughts.
I'll be honest with you. The first thing I hear when I say Capitol Records sign virtual artists, I'm like, okay, so what brand, company, or tech incubator created this particular person, and
Let's
what
go
does
there.
that even look like?
All right, let's start there. Okay. So I was just talking to one of my producer homies out in Miami, and we were talking about how Warner Music was trying to tinker with this idea first, right? But he's right. That was the first thing I asked. Okay, cool. So who's getting the checks? Right? Music business, just like any other business, who's getting the checks? So who's creating these artists? Now, based on my knowledge of business, that means that there's some VCs who are tinkering around with the idea because they see a huge opportunity. This isn't necessarily cheap, right? So if you know, for any Instagram follower, I mean not follower, influencer, you know it's not cheap. So I'm pretty sure doing this is easier, but not cheap. So that is the multi-million dollar question, which is okay, cool. What VCs out here actually testing this idea? And that's where things get a little interesting. You know what I mean? I read this article. I couldn't find the name of the company.
Real quick, for those who don't know what VCs is, could you give them a little bit of an explanation on that context?
Sure. It's funny. I just had this conversation with another producer. No, not another producer. It was I think it was a podcast. I was talking about VCs and music business. How like this? Oh no, that's what it is. Not to stunt. But I went to an event. I went to a Web 3.0 event hosted by Roland. You know, the music equipment company that I think I said it last podcast. But James Fauntleroy was there, and him and Gino, who's a singer songwriter, and a couple other people there. They were just like, yeah, you know, it's kind of hard. You know, now you got these songs, you gotta get the VCs to sign off on it. So VC is short for venture capitalists, right? So, it's short for venture capitalists, and basically what these guys do is they pump money into ideas that they not just monetize, but that are lucrative, right? It's just this whole thing. Whenever you guys get a chance, look into it, but that's sort of the thing that I've been saying like the past like 10 episodes even, which is like the narrative that artists keep getting told and or just creators in general that there's some money. But if you guys follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or even TikTok, we showed you that there are oil and gas companies investing in music labels. So obviously there's something coming down a pipeline to put people on notice that, hey, there is a real possibility that you make a lot of money. Keep in mind, it's oil and gas. We're not talking about 10, 20 million. We're not really talking about 100 million, right? It's like, we're oil and gas. Like, if you know anything about oil and gas industry, you know how much money they really make. There's got to be huge amounts of money for them to be coming in over a long period of time. So that's why I just want to say, just want to keep an eye on. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, most artists, as they say, well, you keep hearing there's no money. Is that the reason why you keep hearing there's no money is because you're not leveraging your fan base. That's what it comes down to. As an independent artist, if you're focused on streaming and making streaming money, that means you're not properly you're not properly leveraging your fan base, because streaming income is quite literally just a gateway. It is the introduction to whatever else is possible. NFTs being one of the conversations right now. But if you have, let's say, for example, on Instagram, like what Bobby did, you had over 50 million followers on Instagram. You go over there and say, well, you know what? How can I leverage this fan base to actually spend money? I create an OnlyFans account. I create content I know they're going to pay attention to. And I create a subscription system that they're going to pay for. No different than someone buying an NFT, no different than someone going to Patreon, no different than any other system. I mean, if you spend $250 something on Yeezys, imagine a fan would spend $2 or $3 a month looking at content exclusively that they get on one platform versus another. So you just have to know how to leverage your fan base. But first and foremost, you have to have a fan base. If you don't have a fan base, then you're right. There's no money in it because you are not realistically doing what it is that you're supposed to do, which is why this virtual artist who can effectively gain fans at a 10-to-1 ratio at a minimum is going to outpace you, outsell you, and put you in a space that you won't feel sick about.
Okay.
My bad. I went too far.
No. Hold on, where's my sound effect? I gotta pull this up sooner. Where's my sound effect? Where is it?
Oh, bro.
Sure, whatever. God dog. All right. I'm gonna get this right. So yes and no. So that kind of leads to me. So I posted about this. When did that was it Friday that I said something about this, or was it Monday? It was sometime this week. I posted about this, and the reactions were, it was kind of funny, not gonna lie. A lot of y'all shook. And so we'll get into the whole thing. Like I said, I'm dedicating this whole episode to talk about it. So one of the first things that somebody said was, they're trying to take our jobs. They're trying to etch us out. Well, yes and no. So let me go into it. The reason why I say yes is because it is easier to manage a virtual artist, right? Rather than trying to work with a regular artist. So for instance, like I said, if I get a 23-year-old from Atlanta, Miami, or London, Lisbon, or wherever, let's say the artist is very disciplined, right? Well, when we go on tour, at some point, usually on your first tour, you get pretty sick, right? You're eating different foods, your sleep schedule's all over the place, you're using the bathroom not you at your normal cycle, you're exposed to a whole bunch of people. If you're young, you're still getting a lot of acne. I remember I got acne too when I was on my very first tour. Because your body, there's nothing regulated. You're literally all over. You're either super dehydrated or sleep deprived or both. Um, and if you're finishing a show and you finally get out of the venue 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't think Whole Foods is open. So usually it's like chicken waffles or McDonald's. In the South is like Whataburger, whatever you can for Denny's, whatever you can
Mind
find.
you, this is stating that you don't have a tech writer that's actually saying what you need to have in your dressing room because this is your first tour.
Right. But okay, so yeah. But if you're an independent artist, you probably don't have that, right? You probably usually your first couple of tours you're gonna break even because you're still paying for promotional stuff, and this, that, and the third until you build that brand, then you won't really. That's why, like, if you okay, so if we're going down this road, that's why if you have a road manager, they push for you to, hey, let's have a second and third leg of the tour because it's like a long tail, right? It's just like no money, no money, no money. And what I mean by no money is even though you're getting paid, or you may let's say even though you're getting paid, you still have to pay for the van, you have to pay for the driver, you have to pay for the gas, you have to pay for the hotel, you have to pay for promotional materials. You probably have to grab a lot of underwear and socks. Like you have to pay for all that stuff. But if you stay on the road long enough, it starts doing this where you start making a profit, right? Because like you have everything you need, and then you start making the money. Once you start hitting that
Mhm.
curve like that, 9 times out of 10, you're not getting off the road. So that's how you have an artist who release an album and you don't hear from them for like 2 or 3 years is because they're probably still on the road, right? So but even then, if I have a virtual artist, I don't have to worry about that, right? All I have to do is set up the lights and the mirrors and this, that, and the third. In the first 6 months may be expensive, but I can keep going. I don't like this artist here. He doesn't have to go home and visit his mom. He doesn't get homesick. He doesn't have a relationship he has to manage or anything like that. So in that sense, yes. But on the flip side of it, how expensive do you think this is though? If we're really keeping it a buck.
See, that just depends on the question. Because remember, we discussed that a lot of this stuff is getting automated now. Technology is getting cheaper, equipment's getting cheaper. What we're really paying for is time, human creativity.
Mhm.
That's what the money is coming in. Because if you can literally say, I have a AI system that generates the music for this AI artist, and or I have session writers that are already contractually on the label, it's not as expensive for you to create music for this artist as it's going to be for you dealing with a regular person. Because
Right.
guess who does not have to be in the studio? The virtual artist doesn't. The session artist that you have working or the songwriter, they already know how to go in and get the job done. They're professional songwriters. They record, they write. It's a business. They're not worried about the glitz, the glam, the following. They know what they need to
So
do when they get in and get it done.
So let me ask you this. You said something automated because I was listening but at the same time. I wanted, what do you mean by automated?
Great question. So you remember I was telling you earlier, they have these different platforms now, like we were talking about last week, where hey, you just put in context. I want genre such and such, and I want it to start with these types of words. And they
Right.
basically
The
create
song
these beats,
the
these
AI songwriting
productions.
software. Yeah.
Right. Now, imagine something like that, but on a grander scale, not what you see publicly, but something behind the scenes that we know effectively works, that generates these incredible beats or these incredible lyrics for songs or just creates lines. It doesn't have to write the whole song. It literally can write lines that you can basically fill in as a songwriter who's tied to a publishing company. So now you're doing a work for hire. So now the publishing company effectively owns everything that you're creating because you're writing this work for hire along with what they already established.
Okay.
That's
So
less money spent.
It's good you said it. So that kind of leads to my second point, which is, are we looking at, and I already know the answer, but I do want to say just for conversation purposes, and you alluded to it maybe a few episodes back, where you just like the major labels are trying to put their hands in different things to adjust with the curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just ask a question. I already know the answer, but let's ask a question. Could you see major labels developing software for boutique labels to buy like their own virtual artists? And
Yeah.
okay.
Hell yeah, that's an easy bag. That's an easy. Let me go ahead, like you said, partner with venture capitalists or new tech company that's coming up. Then you see it all the time. There's acquisitions happening all around us.
So okay, cool. So then let me ask you this then. If I'm an artist, right? Let's say I have my 100,000 fans. Let's say I have 100,000 followers, about like my true 1,000 fans. Is this something I really need to worry about? Like for real?
So if you have a Ryan Leslie effect, as in you have your true 100,000 fans, quote unquote, then no, because these are your actual fans. They may, just like anybody else, listen to other music, but that doesn't mean they just gonna drop you off the roadside. They're real fans, not followers. That's the other thing that people get tricked about when it comes to social systems. We
Mm-hmm.
have to understand the difference between followers and fans. When you go to think about it, again, I always use the analogy of high school because high school and college is the perfect understanding. Sports is quite literally the equivalent understanding of what is happening right now and what should be happening.
Okay.
When you have followers, but as they call bandwagoners, oh, you just like this team because they have such and such player, that aggravates a true fan who's been there for 5, 10 years, from the ups to downs, that we didn't have the championships to now that we got so and so, now we go into the ship. The same thing with social media. You have people who follow you in context just to see what's happening, and you have actual fans who will argue back and forth. So if
So
you have
this,
real fans, all right.
really this is okay. So what it sounds like is this is more of, I do want to put the onus on the artist, but at the same time, I don't want it to feel like it's a burden. But if let's say I have my 1,000 true fans, not even 100,000, but 1,000 true fans, or actually let's play the other side. If I don't have 1,000 true fans, let's say I just have 10, do I still need to be worried about this? Because the reason why I would say no is because if I had to choose between seeing who's a great dancing artist, let's say Jennifer Lopez, right? If I had to choose between seeing J-Lo and a virtual artist, I'm probably going to see J-Lo first, because there's nothing like seeing an extra human dancing on stage rather than, because the virtual artist is like, yeah, I expect you to do all the cool moves. You're an algorithm. Like it takes, of course, you can do a flip 10 feet in the air and land and do the splits. That's, yeah, you're an artist. But seeing a human do it is completely different. So should I be worried about that in regards to like the live show aspect of it?
Honestly, it's like you said, it can honestly depend on who you're dealing with. Most artists are not going to be a J Lo. J Lo's are one in a million type situations with regards to someone who will put up a legitimate show. I give you a perfect example. If you look at most rap artists, look at them at a festival. What do they do? And this is not only people thinking that I'm disrespecting the rap game or rap culture. I love rap music, but I keep it all the way 100. What do most artists do? What do most rap artists do on stage? They walk around, they
Mm-hmm.
throw their hands up, may take a shirt off, may jump around, may move to a front audience, may move back, may move side to side. So, no, no, no. So listen to what I'm saying. So if it's a matter of presentation of show, and two artists have your favorite records, two of your favorite records on a top 10 on your top 10 playlist, one so happen to be real, one so happen to be virtual. If someone's going to choose that virtual artist and the premise is the performance, it's going to come down to a couple of things. One is the artist that you want to see, like the real human, are they going to be on time? Because that's also a thing that deters with regards to spending money. That'll make someone ship out. Are you going to give something that they have not seen before? Are they coming to see you because they really want to rock with you, because they want that emotional connection with your record when you rap it? You know what I'm saying?
See,
Because I'm like,
it's okay. Yes and no. So this again, I have to play both sides of the coin, because
no,
as much
respect.
as I'm creative, I'm also businessman as well. Like, like this week, I'll be going an entire week without my iMac. So I won't be making, beats or landing top lines, guitar lines or anything like that for records. So I have to find different ways to produce a record. But I'm also handling a lot of admin, right? So my mind works in both ways. The reason why I say yes or no in regards to hip hop is, let's say, for instance, one of my favorite rap artists, which is Lloyd Banks, right? Lloyd Banks doesn't do much on this. You can look up Lloyd Banks.
No, trust me. Out of G Unit, Lloyd Banks was probably the only person I really rocked with on a real level. So it was unfortunate when his situation started going.
Yeah. But in regards to his live show, I saw him at Sony Hall for his Hunger for More. I think it was his 15-year anniversary. And like, he's not, I mean, he's moving, but he ain't really moving like that. He ain't like Lupe Fiasco, who's literally doing backflips on stage and stuff like that, right? But the vocal inflections and everything, there's nothing like that raw emotion.
But that's that emotional connection.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we're on the same page. Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. But see, but here's the dangerous thing about that. That same emotional connection can be fabricated. Because you can look at an animated movie. Think about it. You think about what's the movie? Encanto? You know, we don't talk about bro. Oh man, listen, you better go look at these Disney movies. You better go look at these charts. I'm telling you.
You better go listen to these albums while you're over here talking about.
Listen. I do it on both sides. But of course, you know, my kids are a little bit older than yours, so it's coming. Your situation's coming. Once your kids hit about 2, 3, actually, I give it about 3, 4. When they really start talking to you, you can clearly, effectively understand what it is that they're saying that they want. You're gonna start seeing. Trust me when I say these Disney records are chart-topping records, and they're sung by humans, of course, but at the same time, it's an animated face. So when these children and teenagers and or adults, when they're listening to this record, they're not saying, necessarily, I don't want to say for everyone, but in a lot of instances, they're not saying who's the person behind this record singing. You know what I'm saying? They're listening to the record, because you can have the soundtrack, and the soundtrack may not even have the movie version. It may have the full actual version of the song. It just depends on the soundtrack for the movie that you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? But most people, when they go to Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, they're going to listen for the movie version that they heard, that they fell in love with, that had that emotional connection, that really made them tear up when they saw the cinematic aspect that was happening. That's the same thing with these virtual artists.
Okay.
Is real.
So
I'm telling you, watch Troll. If you think I'm playing, watch the movie Troll, the first one. Yeah. And literally, there's a song called "True Colors."
No. I've seen that movie. Like, they're talking about the girl that's blue and it's like depressed. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that right there changed everything.
However, so I see what you're saying. So if they do give the virtual artists like some sort of storyline or whatever, then yeah, fine. Because then you can sell movies. I get that. Fine.
Yeah, they've been doing it with Alvin and the Chipmunks since the 50s.
However, for new artists, this is to sort of go back to episode 1 of this podcast. That is what I was saying in regards to, for the artists that are listening, they're not trying to capture your attention. They're trying to capture the attention of 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. The reason why I'm confident in saying that is, okay.
But that's the same market we're chasing after. Technically, if we're talking, people argue, oh, well, these kids don't spend, but these kids get their parents to spend.
Well, no, I was going to take it even deeper than that. So the reason why I bring that up is because, okay, when Twitter first came out, do you remember? Because you had, you had MySpace, you had HiFi.com, you had Black Planet, and everything else, right? But when Twitter came out, remember people just like, this is stupid. Why am I telling people I'm going to Chipotle off of Guadalupe Ave? Why am I? This is stupid. Why would I tell people, oh, I'm doing my home? Like, this is dumb. People didn't get it. They had to go and condition people. They were actually having, I remember South by Southwest 2008. The Jack Dorsey and they had to come out and say, hey guys, this is a networking tool. They basically had to train people, the first like 10,000 users, 16, I think it was one of the first 16,000 users. Shout out to old school Twitter. No, for I was telling one of my homegirls, I said, fam, if you had jumped on Twitter between 2007, 2010, fam, Twitter was shit. Like
Different.
Twitter was it, fam. But anyway, you had to condition people for that. So the reason why I bring that up is for this is if I get the attention of a 13-year-old and then I keep feeding them this type of content, by the time they're 21, 23, when they can make their own decisions and they have their own disposable income, it won't be weird to see someone 25 years old go like, oh, I don't want to see, Taylor Swift. I don't want to see Shawn Mendes. I want to see the virtual artist over here on the side stage. And of course, older people are like, huh? That's stupid. Why you want to see it? That's dumb. But what they don't realize is that this person you're talking to, they've been conditioned for the past 10 years to see this. So
remember silent discos?
Yeah.
First we were in the club, we were dancing. All of a sudden, nobody's dancing. First you had people in the club dancing, men and women. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, women are dancing with women, men are just in crew. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nobody's really dancing with each other. It's like, wait a minute. The next thing you know, from that same transition, you got silent discos. Now you don't even hear music in the club. It's quite literally in the headphones. You don't even know there's a party going on in that
We
space.
have at some point. I would love for us to touch base. I was talking to Hollywood Floss. Let's give a shout out to like random producers. But he's a producer out in Houston. He's produced for They, which is like a super group out of Houston. And I think he's produced for some couple other people too. But anyway, me and him were talking. AB's doing whatever dance it is, where he does he's doing this. I said we can't talk about it. Right? Our generation was doing the Dougie. You talking about dude that had bodies talking, shimmying his shoulders, and like you can't talk bad. So
try to hit the daddy stroke and everything. Yeah. Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God.
Hit with that D-Town book. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So like,
man.
But that's conditioning. You couldn't do that with
swag.
the people. But again, that's conditioning, is because you're right. Things change, but at some point I would love to go back to why were guys is in a circle and women in the circle. Like what happened? You know what I mean? Like why was that a thing? But anyway, going back to what in regards to what I want to say in regards to conditioning is, if you are an artist and you're worried about this is not something you have to be worried about today. 10 years from now, yes, but right now, no. Because yes, a virtual artist can perform everywhere at the same time. So it like, oh, I do 7 shows a day. They can do that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What you just said actually just changed a scale point. You just said I can do 7 shows a day, but the reality of what you just stated was I can do 7 shows simultaneously.
Right.
That's crazy. Now that's a whole different take.
But no, but that's I think that's the reason why artists, and of course it was all artists, like one of the artists I was talking to, she's getting ready to like audition for like American Idol, but she's a singer-songwriter, and sometimes she does live shows here and there, but she's very active. So for her, she's still trying to break through the glass ceiling so she can get to the next level. And she's like, oh great. Not only that, do I have to deal with these manufactured artists and these ghostwriters that they are hiring from Brazil and Spain for like pennies on the dollar, but now I have to compete with an algorithm, and we all do if we're just keeping it a buck. However, I don't think she has to worry about that now. I've heard the beats, the AI beats, right? So someone else is in my DMs, they're just like, yo, check this out. Just tell me they have an algorithm that creates beats, and just like, yeah, I heard about this back in 2018. The guy that mastered Trigger Don's album was telling me about this. They're like, oh, they have algorithms that, because that's what Lander was originally. It was just like, hey, right, we'll mix and master the song for you based on this algorithm. Now, sort of to what Elon Musk was saying in regards to AI, when AI starts, it sucks. Like it does, it has no context, right? It's just kind of like the first time you're writing a song, the first song you write may be okay, but then like song 2, 3 to 1,000, it's gonna suck because you have to get practice, you have to get feedback. Well, the AI is constantly getting feedback from what we consider hits, right? So whether you want to say that's a big machine, whether you want to say to Spotify, we want to say to fans, is getting this feedback of what's considered a hit. Well, in regards to beats, if I keep making these trap beats, right, and I'm making it at a certain BPM, if you tell me it sucks, the AI will shift over and try something new, and they'll say, oh, okay, you guys like this, so it'll just keep doing that, and they'll keep finding ways to keep making what you like. So as of right now, today, no, you don't have anything to worry about. In 10 years, yes, because the AI is going to get smart enough to go, oh, okay, cool. So this is how we do a live show. The graphics are going to get better. Performances are going to get better. They may have people in overseas that are doing like the body movements and that. So yeah, it is something to worry about. I just don't think it's something to worry about today.
Yeah, but see, here's the, as they say, the devil's advocate side of that. How
Mm-hmm.
long does it take to break an average artist to actually say they're going to be the quote unquote Chris Brown, Beyonce? Think about the length of their career for Beyonce specifically, from Destiny's Child before she became Beyonce, the solo artist, to who she is now. You know what I'm saying? And when we say 10 years, 10 years really is a drop in a bucket in that concept. You know what I'm saying? Because we could say, oh, 10 years with Destiny's Child, how many, what, 2, 3 albums over the course of how many different tours? Then she goes and becomes a solo artist, what, mid-20s? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? In this same situation, she's also in a budding relationship with one of the hottest rappers in the game. At this point, considerably number one artist in the world, number one hip hop artist in the world. And then boom, 10 more years after that. Oh, now we're married. Here's kids. Here's Beyonce after 4 or 5 albums as a solo art. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that 10 years, we say that kind of loose, kind of candid, but I mean, when you talking about being 18 or for, let's be honest, they find artists, like you said, 14, 15,
Right.
16, and they sign these guys. So you talking about being signed. Well, matter of fact, what was it? The Khalees situation we were just talking about? She got signed at
17.
17.
Right.
10 years later, she's 27. You know what I'm saying? And her whole career's already happened at this point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that 10 years can be detrimental if you don't worry about it now versus later, depending on how things are flowing for you.
Yeah, but if kind of to what you said, if you can't build a solid fan base within 10 years, you wouldn't
It
really
don't
get an
matter no
average.
way.
Shout out to T Jizzle, who just joined the chat. He just said artists should be worried about virtual artists. That's to ask him why. But so yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm on both sides of the fence. But yeah, if you're an artist, I mean, just get after it now. But I don't think this is me personally. I don't think this is something you should be worried about today. In the coming future, yes, but not today.
I'm gonna tell you what get crazy. What if they start doing virtual reality concerts as in full body experiences? Because
They're already doing
there's
it.
a
They did it with Justin Bieber in the metaverse.
right, but what I'm saying is that becoming a social norm. The reason why I say it is because there's a product out right now with regards to I forget what it's called, but it straps over your body so you can
Mm-hmm.
basically feel the rhythmic blast when your music's playing.
Sub Hat.
Yeah, I literally just went and did a VR, like a full body 80s style VR experience. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, now they did as much of a workout as this was, but as fun as it was, and we're talking about a low res game, old Cowboys and Indians, excuse me, old Cowboys shoot up the Western bad guys type situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if something like this is this fun, imagine what they could do in a concert
Yeah.
situation with someone walking into a space where you don't need as much equipment, but you can literally have the
No,
same experience. That's going to
I
change everything.
I know for a fact that there is an agency that is working on an idea to where you can travel across the world and not have to leave your bedroom. So this is the idea. How it works is, let's say, for instance, I want to go to
Head
Turks and
dive.
Caicos, right? I don't need a passport. So what happened, I sign up for this package, I get this equipment, and then I go in, right? So I go into the virtual hotel room, and instead of sitting there and trying to go to a massage parlor, a masseuse would show up to my door, lay down, and while I have the headset on, they're giving me the bath, so I can hear the water, rushing against the sand. I hear the people, this, that, or third. When I go to a party, I have alcohol delivered to my door where I can grab it, put the headset back on. I can party with people. I can interact with people. Same thing with the food. The food comes every so often, and I did all this from my bedroom. And I almost had
That's
to
a
go.
full on head dive.
Yeah, those are, but I'm saying, like, there's agencies that are working on that. So it's in the upcoming future. Yes. Do you need to be worried about the future? Yes. But do you need to like jump off the ship and try to fix everything today? No, you still have time. But again, you still have to condition people for that.
That could honestly just depend on how groundbreaking the technology is. And like you said, the trick is conditioning. I'm not even going to front you, homie. I keep looking at the screen and I keep seeing your battery life, and that's throwing me.
No, I'm good.
But yeah, but that honestly just comes out like you said, it's conditioning, but it depends on the market. For example, the U.S. may be one of the largest markets in the world, but we are slow to adopt. Whereas you go towards the East is not slow to adopt. You know what I'm saying? If you look at Japan, you look at China, you look at Dubai, they are not slow to adopt technology and new ways of life. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, something could be blowing up right now and we not be aware of it just specifically because we don't pick up on things. It's like what they used to say about when I was growing up in the East Coast, is what they would say about the South. They were like, yeah, bro, you know, saying things come out the South, but the South isn't always the place where you hear that very, very first thing. You know what I'm saying? Nine
Right.
times out of 10, you may hear if you hear a record that's getting broke, you might hear it in the West Coast or you hear it in the East Coast, but it's banging in the South.
Right.
Like once it makes its way around, it's thumping in the South and it's going in rotation. That's the same thing about the US market. The US market isn't always where you're going to hear about that new thing. Like Spotify, for example, was not a US based product, but it was brought to the US after they did a lot of demos. A lot of things that are even built in the US are technically shopped in other countries with regards to like Netflix passwords and all that stuff, with regards to sharing accounts, are shopped somewhere else, then brought here, even if they're US based companies, simply because we have a slow adoption market and they know we're fussy. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to new things.
Yeah.
So they literally, everything we're saying that we say could take 10 years could literally happen in 3 years in a whole nother market. And then all of a sudden now we got to play catch up, because that's literally what's happening right now with semiconductors and why all these bills are getting passed with regards to us doing production in the US. We created the product, but then we outsourced it into another country. Now we got our butts kicked. Now we're trying to get stuff back. So we not so slow on the uptake. It is literally an arms race. Music and technology is the new arms race, because these labels and these VCs understand the capability of what money could come from ownership, not necessarily just dealing with the music itself, but all of the merchandise rights, because that's what it comes down to. The music itself is not being sold, but the products related to the music, it's what's making the money. The music inspires all the other products.
Gotcha. My bad.
Are you good?
Yeah. So to sort of wrap this up, one, we definitely sound like a news podcast, but we kind of do that. But two, yeah, I see your point. I see your point. All right. So I want to get into some of these theories. I want to get into this last. I say this for last because it's kind of dark, right? So I want to.
Conspiracy Hänz.
There is, conspiracy Hänz. I wish there was a filter to put over the screen. There's a theory that was brought to my attention. So this is dark. So if you made it to this part of the podcast, you're like, hey, I want to leave it on a positive note, go and jump off now, because I'm about to get dark. All right, let me get my water. Let me tell you about one of the theories that were brought to my attention.
It's so real, I gotta hydrate.
Facts. So one of the theories that was brought to my attention is that the reason why rappers are getting killed every day is because major labels have been planning to do this for a very long time.
Oh, that is dark.
That is very dark. So again, if you made it to this part of the podcast, and you're just like, oh, go ahead and jump off. We appreciate it, but I gotta address this. I have to address this for the culture. In regard to the idea, I want to break it down. I don't want to say I disagree. I don't want to say I agree. I just want to break that idea down just a little bit, right? Because I've noticed there's a huge influx of conspiracy theories that have become mainstream in our culture. I honestly believe it's one of two things. Either one, the weed is getting way too strong, and it's way too many weed heads. Remember, like back in
it got legalized.
It's like back in the early 2000s, only like the hippies or the quote unquote cool kids did it. And it wasn't like as bad as like now. It's like everybody trying to partake, and like they've gone like, 47-year-olds like going deep dive into like becoming a weed heads. Like, Earl, you have a family, like you have college tuition to pay for. What is this? Like, why are we go home?
They said this is natural. This is, as our Native American brethren used to say, this is of the earth, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you guys are not. It's the weed is too strong. You guys are not cool. Like just
they take no moon rocks.
Yes. Oh my God, Jesus. Someone I went to high school with, she was smoking moon rocks and she was live tweeting as she was doing it. And when I tell you, I can tell that anxiety attack was whooping her ass. Boy, like I was like, I almost DM'd her like, hey, can you give me a phone number? Let me call just to make sure you're okay. Like you could tell like she was out of there. But anyway, I want to break this down. So actually, I'll say this, and I think you guys will know my answer. Jim Jones is going around saying that being a rapper is the most dangerous job in America, right? I disagree. The reason why I disagree with Jim Jones, respectfully, is because being a rapper per se is not a dangerous job. If I look at people like Wiz Khalifa, Logic, Super Duper Kyle, Lil Yachty, no one is taking shots at them, literally. They don't have to walk around with bulletproof vests on. They don't need super duper armed security and people from the streets. They don't need armored cars, and they don't need to, they can walk out in public and not have to worry about someone trying to shank them or shoot them or take their head off, right? However, it's not the profession that is dangerous, it's the lifestyle. For instance, am I gonna take it there?
Go ahead, take it there, man.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'll take it with one person, and I mean this respectfully. So if this come on disrespect, let me know in the comments. That's not what I meant. But T Grizzly, artist from Detroit, right, my second hometown. I think a couple of years ago, him and his manager were in a car. Somebody sideswiped the car and emptied a clip into the car, killing his manager. And when I spoke to someone, we'll say was someone who's familiar, I said, yo, what's up? And he made a very good point. He said, y'all love T Grizzly, but y'all forgot that the man with that name came from a life where he had loose ends. You forget that these guys had a life before they ever jumped on a mic. All because they got famous doesn't mean that all the things they did before they got famous went away.
To be honest with you, the moment you become famous, you're more likely to be a target because now they have more available access, itinerary,
100%.
schedules.
But the reason why you are a target is because 9 times it's the stuff you did beforehand. Now, I know this is, I'm not trying to make a controversial take, but this is the truth. If for instance, if you're just a regular guy who's really good at rapping, you put out mixtapes and albums and this and the third, but you came from, a decent home, like, both parents home, and you were a pretty nice guy, you have a very, 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 very slim chance of someone trying to assassinate you than someone who should be a runner, a gunner, a strong arm for somebody, and now you're on stage talking about check out my album. It's not the profession that's dangerous. It's a lifestyle that came before then. So I say all that to kind of wrap this up to say that, no, I don't think that labels are taking rappers out on purpose to what's the word? To try to profit this way. At least not this way. And I'll end it on that because as my battery's getting ready to die. Theo, thoughts? Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I'll just say a quick excerpt with regards to that. As you're saying with the lifestyle, I mean, the reality is when you're a public gangster, that's the most dangerous position you can be in. I mean, because to be perfectly honest, like you said, you got loose ends, and if you don't have all these people taking care of the situation on your behalf, somebody's gonna come after you. Right. At the same time, the understandable point is that music breeds controversy simply because our culture loves controversy. It's the reason why a lot of these gangster rappers get picked up. They have great stories to be told. Is it from a cultural standpoint? Most people don't want to live in that street life, but they want to hear about it because it's exciting to them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what puts people in a position of saying, well, I need to do this so people will rock with this because they think I'm somebody, I'm tough. Right. No different than people liking Chuck Norris.
Exactly. But that's my thoughts on it. And like I said, I hope that doesn't come off inconsiderate of the artists that we've lost in the past like 3 or 4 years, but it's really what it is. You know, there's an artist from QC. He was literally leaving the project to go to his new apartment with his new check he got from QC, and he got killed on a freeway. That's intentional. That's not like the car accident. Someone came, found and shot him at on the freeway and got him. He didn't escape his lifestyle in time, right? But anyway,
RIP all those that we've lost.
Yeah, please. RIP. But that's it, man. Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. So episode 33 is not on YouTube, but it is on all DSPs because we have problems before. But just want to wrap it real quick. Just want to say thank you for tuning in. We'll be here next week. Shout out to everybody. Be safe, keep grinding, keep pushing, and we'll talk to you all later. Peace.